So can you hear the rest of this song from just a few words? Like a good neighbor? Unless you've lived under a rock for the past decade or so, you probably hear the State Farm song, and you might even know what kind of pants Jake wears too. But do you know who Jesus said was a good neighbor? Jesus said, mercy. Do that. Good morning, and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy-to-remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from Luke 10, verses 30 through 37. We're going to be reading from the New Living Translation. And we're going to read this whole story today. It's the story that's often called the Good Samaritan story. Beginning with verse 30 of Luke 10, Jesus replied with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance, a priest came along, but when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by on the other side. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he took the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn where he took care of him. The next day, he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, "Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here." Now, which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by the bandits? Jesus asked. And the man replied, "The one who showed him mercy." Then Jesus said, "Yes, now go and do the same." So that story is the inspiration for this soundbite, mercy. Do that. And the question, who is my neighbor? In context here in Luke 10, the experts in the religious rules of the day had asked Jesus a question. And they always had a motive. And this question was, what's the most important rule? And they were looking for something to accuse him of. And the answer that Jesus gave is actually the first part of the Today Church vision. Our vision, love God, love people, make disciples. The love people part and the love God part is from this. Love people, love your neighbor as yourself. Love God, Jesus said, love God with everything. But wanting to justify his actions, this religious expert says, okay, who is my neighbor? What's the exception to the rule? I mean, it's almost like he was saying, I don't really have to do that, do I? And so Jesus told this story about how adding to the rules misses the point. And there's a whole lot here culturally that we don't have time to get into today. But Jesus made the hero of this story the Samaritan, who was an outcast, who was actually the enemy of the one who asked the question. And the villains in this story were the rule keepers. They were so religious that their own rules kept them from the actual reason for the rules in the first place. They had missed the heart and the spirit of the law. So who was the one who loved the neighbor? Well, it was the outcast among the Jews. Not the one looking for exceptions to the rules, but the one who showed mercy. You see, it's about action, not just words. And so the question, do you make good neighbor exceptions? Are you walking to the other side of mercy because of your exceptions with things like, well, not that neighbor, not that enemy, not that leader, not that person in authority? Don't look for exceptions to the rules, but opportunities to experience mercy. In what I call the be happies, in Matthew 5, there's a version of the Bible called the West Translation which it's kind of like the Amplified. It goes into more detail about what the original Greek means. And in Matthew 5:7 from the West translation, it says, spiritually prosperous are those who are merciful, because they themselves shall be the objects of mercy. If you want to be blessed, if you want to be spiritually prosperous and happy, like a good neighbor, mercy is there. Jesus said, mercy. Do that. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really does mean a lot to me when you like it, when you share it, when you comment. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.